Hello, hello, hello. So happy to welcome everyone on today. Looking so forward to enjoying creating with all of you. And I just wanted to put, because I did put a twist on our talk this week, because as I've been doing my own work and my own visions, it reminded me that some of our biggest roadblocks is actually that we don't put ourselves first, we put ourselves last. And when we put ourselves last, hey Christina, how are you? So great to see you here. When we put ourselves last instead of first, because we think everybody else we need to do for them and we need to support them, and then we don't leave room for us in the equation. And what happens is, out of that, we don't have it to give to others. When we don't have it, we don't put ourselves first, and we don't have our own connection solid, then we don't have it to give to everyone around us. And when it's us trying to do it by ourselves, it's finite. What we have to give is finite. And when we don't feel good about ourselves and we don't feel worthy, we have a tendency, stronger tendency than already our human tendency, to take what others say personally, to be upset if someone doesn't agree with what we want for ourselves, and expect them to have to agree too for it to be okay for us. And I know I spent a lot of my life in that space and trying to get everybody around me. You're trying to explain it and get them to believe it. And hey there, Victoria, so great to see you too. And when people don't when they don't agree, or you can't get them to agree, you're exhausted, and then you feel like you can't have that dream. And it's not about anybody else's opinion. It's about your own connection with whatever God, your higher power, your connection between your inner self and God, source energy, whatever name. Hi, Kimberly, it's great to have you here. And so when you don't have that connection, when you don't have that strong connection within, and when you don't spend the time to have that connection, we often don't even know who we really are, because it's so clouded from years of listening to what everybody else says we should do and who we should be and who we are. And when we want something different, we're trying to explain it and get everybody around us to agree. And of course that doesn't happen. And so it's just this exhausting, it's like what I said earlier when I said a little bit like the duck gliding on the sub and paddling underneath, then frustration. And it's really about connecting with yourself, spending time, meditating is great. Because the quiet space, the place where you can listen. If your brain just doesn't want to stop long enough for that, appreciation journal really helps get you in that space. But creating a little bit of space to let yourself in, to figure out who you really are and what you really want, and to understand that what you really want is just as important for the people around you as it is for you. Because when you're genuinely, authentically able to be you, to know who you are and let yourself in, then you're able to really see what you want, and what is from deep inside of you that you want. And when you know that, then your why is big enough to figure out the roadblocks, right? When we're creating from a space of, well, I think I might want this, but then when you can't get everybody else to agree, and you don't think that they really, believe that what you want is an okay thing to do or the right thing to do, then you're just fighting it, right? And really, sometimes you have this not. So when I stepped out to help my brother, when he 2 years after his traumatic brain injury, when he was in a mental hospital, I really felt strongly that I just had to do it, that I could not leave him in a mental hospital for the rest of his life. And that's what everyone said would happen unless I could step out and help him. And so my belief in that was strong, but I had a lot of people telling me not a good idea. I was going to lose everything. And so when it was hard and I was struggling, I lost my sense of belief, trust in that was the right thing to do, and that no matter how hard it was, answers would come and we would get through it and I would be okay. Well, what happened was, I worked so hard, but I didn't have belief. I felt like a failure. I felt lousy. And in that space, I'm sure there were all kinds of solutions coming because I've been on both sides of it, but I couldn't see them. I just couldn't see them. And so, um, being able to, once I just got, I actually ended up just deciding that I wasn't going to fail, but it was 3 years of struggle before I reached that, a little more than that. And when I decided to start making time to listen, start making an appreciation list, start giving myself space for connection again, I started to have solutions. Things started to change. My life started to change. It could have changed in a moment. I didn't have to have 3 years of struggle. That wasn't God punishing me. That was me not believing, not trusting, not feeling worthy. And that's what I mean by, and everyone suffered around me in that sense. I couldn't give my staff raises. Um, I couldn't do things with people I loved because I was punishing myself, right? I took myself off the table and what I could have been giving and receiving from others by isolating myself and feeling like a failure. And most of us have done that at some point or another. Or maybe I'm grateful that it was in such a big way that I could see the difference, that I can now understand forever the difference in that. So Christina says, I sometimes have an issue creating visions because I find myself going towards the things that I'm supposed to do exactly, and sometimes have difficulty figuring out what it is that I actually want. Yes, yes. Oh my gosh. And I mean, I've created so much of my life from that space. I'm grateful that we get to choose differently at any point in time. And I still, have to go inward and think, what do I really want? Wait, what do I really want? I've been doing it just in the last few days. And so, one of the things that is actually one of the best indicators of if it's what you're supposed to do or it's something you really want is how you feel inside. If when you're creating that vision, you're excited and it feels really good, then you're on the right track. If it's something you're supposed to do that you don't want to do, you're not going to feel excited. It's going to feel like work. It's going to feel, but sometimes something we really want can feel a little intimidating, and that comes back to belief. So you have to go back a little bit, do some things, get your touchstones of things that really you feel good when you do them or think them. There's certain memories that can make you feel really good. I keep a joyous playlist that I can put it on and really get myself feeling good. A walk in nature will do that for me sometimes. And and when I start feeling better, then I'm able to go back to that vision that I'm trying to create and see how that feels when I'm coming from a good space. And if it immediately takes me out of that good space, I probably need to back off on that vision and then see what I can create. Because any vision that you create when you're not feeling good isn't going to be one you can bring to fruition at that point. It has to feel good inside. It has to bring you joy. That's a really important part of knowing if you're connecting with source. And it doesn't even mean that vision's not true. It means you're not believing it. So you could have a vision that really you will be able to create in the future. But right now, when you think about it, you don't feel good. Your God source energy doesn't necessarily feel bad about it. They can feel really, when you're not lined up with God source energy in your inner being, then you can feel bad about something that's actually good because they're feeling good about. God's always in a space of positivity, love, joy, and believing for you. And if you're not lined up with that, you're not lined up with where He is. That's such an important part of being able to create, is recognizing, ooh, what can I do? What can I think to feel better? How can I get lined up with feeling good about this? Because then I can create from that space. So Kimberly, can you elaborate a little bit more about when the feeling doesn't go away? When you're talking about, I'm assuming you're talking about when you're trying to create and you're not sure if it's something you're supposed to want or something that you really want. And yes, when I walk, Victoria, I don't wear earbuds because I want to hear the birds. I want to be looking around me and soaking up the environment. I love music and I do listen to music in my house and at different times, but when I'm outside, I'm wanting to soak up the birds and the nature and whatever God source energy is sending me in messages in nature that shows me connection. Oh, you mean when it feels good and that feeling doesn't go away? Isn't that the most amazing thing in the world? And then you always want to go back to that, right? You want to feel that way a week. Oh, that's awesome, Kimberly. When you get to that point, you are spending a lot of time connecting, and that's fantastic because your place of creating and your ability to create from a place of connection is really really getting good. And that's such a beautiful thing because life just gets more and more fun in that space. And what's fun is when you recognize when you're not in that space because when you realize that you're not feeling good and then you can choose to find your way to a better feeling, or I'll realize a thought process because thoughts, if you're watching the news and it's negative and you start going down that pathway of that's right, the world is just in a terrible space, and that's actually affecting your ability to create as well. That's affecting your connection. God's got this 30,000 foot, way more than that, millions of miles view, and he doesn't view it that way. He knows that he is big and that love is big. God, the universe, whatever. Love is bigger than any of the other things, and it will win. And when people aren't connected and they're creating things like wars and things like that, in the end, love is going to win. It's just going to win. And so finding your ways to connect and be connected in love and joy, that's your power. That's your place to create. That's your place to change the world. The more of us that are connected, the more of the time, the more we can create a better world for all of us to live in. So, Christina, did I answer your question? Is there more? Do you have more along those lines? When we're talking about connecting and creating your vision from connection, I mean, like today, or even this weekend, we were having really cold weather, and I was really hoping for snow. Enough snow, we couldn't go anywhere. I just wanted to hibernate for a few days. And then I thought, if I want to hibernate, does that mean I want some things in my life that I'm not really putting in my vision and I need to? Yeah, I want to be able to sit and create at my desk and look at the birds and enjoy them. I want to be able to cook delicious food for myself and have time, to invite people over to enjoy that food and appreciate my home that I live in. And I want that to be part of my vision for myself as well, because those things mean a lot to me. Christina said, yes, thank you. I struggle with indecision when it comes to making choices, connecting with my vision and goals. Oftentimes that comes from the connection, letting ourselves feel worthy of what we really want, right? And that comes back to accepting in love. And we're going to do some deep dives on that. In fact, that's what February is going to be about, is self-love and our relationship with ourselves, because that's a huge part of being able to create our vision, is believing in ourselves and accepting in that love and worthiness. Because I've been there. And like, even when I was starting to have these downloads for stuff to do, I'm like, what are you talking about, God? I'm not worthy of that. So yeah, I'm creating roadblocks to creating it, right? Because mentally I'm not feeling worthy of it. And so I'm creating my own roadblocks. I'm blocking what is being sent to me, my connection with God's source energy, because I don't trust it. I don't believe it. And so, that's exactly why we're going to spend February on that. And there's some more really cool things coming to Extraordinary Life. I cannot wait to share it with you around this, because I think it's one of our, as a whole, one of our biggest roadblocks to creating our own extraordinary life. Let's see. Yay, Christina. Yes, that's absolutely where I'm going with this. Kimberly, my recent roadblock has actually taken me on another amazing journey. Isn't that fun when that happens? Yes, they can be, because here's the thing. God, universe, source energy is always trying to get you where you and knows what your inner being, who you really are and what you really want, and is always trying to guide you there. I've been to some crazy places, and places where I would have thought God would have never sent me, and realized that he did, and that was the connection, and what I was supposed to get out of it came to me, and like this beautiful aha, and I'm like, wow. So it's not always in one place. It can be from a group of people that maybe other people are saying, you know, that's not a good I've had connections in all kinds of different places and ways. Exactly that, because God is always trying to get you around your own roadblocks. And isn't that beautiful when you realize how loved you are, and that the universe, God is that big and that loving, and you yourself matter that much? Yes. Yes, exactly, Kimberly. You look at it and then you look at when I got this house, I was feeling so unworthy. Oh my word, was I in a difficult place. That was towards the end, the last year of the 3 years where I was really struggling with debt and trying to keep my business alive after stepping out to help my brother and working so hard. And I actually, through a series of things there's not time for here, but when I came and looked at this house, I loved it and it was so beautiful, and it was a rent house, but it had just been sold to who was my landlord. I own it now, and he from the original owners, but I came and looked at it and I thought, no, he'll never. I have two big dogs. He won't. He's not. Whoever it is, they're not going to want me to rent it. And I didn't even reach out. I didn't even follow up. And then they followed up with me, and I was like, oh, well, maybe God does want me to have this out and house. And I ended up renting it. But the crazy part is I loved my neighbors. I loved the neighborhood. I loved the house. And I just happened to rent a house from someone who, this was his only rent house. He hadn't rented any others. Not too long after I bought it, he decided he didn't want to be a landlord anymore, but he really couldn't afford to sell it at that point, put it on the market. In this whole crazy thing worked out where clearly I was supposed to have this house, and I had the opportunity to buy this house, and I almost, missed the signals. But then, God just kept reaching out, and I was still in a tough space. I was not walking along in the best place possible every day doing things. And that's the thing. Now I understand that I'm holding the door shut when things aren't coming. And I am working now, learning how to open those doors, open that window a crack. And that is what extraordinary life is about, and what I so want you guys to get to learn, because it's awesome. And see, Christina says, I'm going through a similar issue with finding a place right now. Oh, yeah. Oh, I get that. Oh, and honestly, my credit rating, which wasn't as horrible as I thought it was, really, because I'd had always such a good credit rating, but it was enough to make me worry. Well, my credit rating, not only, do I have these big dogs, is my credit rating good enough? I had done fine in my apartment because I sold my house to help my brother, moved into an apartment, and then, was looking for a place closer to my work to rent. I didn't even know where I wanted to live. And truthfully, I didn't have the money to make a down payment for a house at that point. And when I got myself turned around, I was able to get out of debt and save up the money which was quite a bit because I was self-employed, for a down payment in a year and a half. It was mindset. It wasn't some giant change in what I was doing with my business. It was giant change in the way I was thinking, and letting worthiness and letting love in and ideas in. And that's the importance of self-love, of understanding our connection with God, source energy, and ourselves, and the importance of our own who we are. We were created to do great things, and God's there to support us and love us the whole entire way. And that is what is so cool. So I'm looking forward to sharing more of that with you guys during the week. If you have specific roadblocks you want to ask questions about, feel free to put them on here. If they're more personal than you want to put on here, feel free to message me. And, as long as I can answer it in like a type of situation. I also have free 30-minute consults if that's something you want to do at some point. And just know we're in this together. And you are worthy. You are creative worthy. And God wants you to live out your biggest dreams, because that's how you are part of what creates a better world for everyone, is you being all of who you are, and you living out your vision and your dreams. And that's what we're here for. That is exactly what we're here for. I love you guys so much. And I can't wait to see you again next week, next month. Every week, we're going to keep doing deep dives into different things. We're going to have some programs to bring out more of this for the things that we just don't have enough time to do here. And I can't wait to share them with you because we have a lot of new, awesome, cool things coming. I love you guys very much, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your Monday.